My name is Lani Gonzalez, and I am really happy to be here today to talk to you all about the Blue Genie Art Bazaar. I'm lucky, I think, that I'm the first of the holiday art fairs to get up here and talk, because if I miss something, then I'm sure Bruce is going to tell you, everything you need to know when he comes up. Before we get started, I just wanted to know by show of hands how many of you have been to the Blue Genie Bazaar, even just as a customer? Okay, so most of you are a little bit familiar with the way we work. I saw one artist, Mark, who was in the show last year. In my presentation today, I'm going to explain a little bit about the history and the basic operations of how the show works, and then talk about the application, and then talk about once you've been accepted and you're an exhibitor. So let's get started. Here is the team. There's, of course, me. I'm the managing director, which means that I manage all the stages of the bazaar, from getting out the application, selecting the artist, talking to the artist, laying out the show, and also hiring the seasonal staff that work at our show, as well as managing the website and social media. So I'm really kind of managing everything. So if you have a question about anything, I'm probably the one that you need to talk to. But then we have our 4 owners. And they each have their own area of expertise that they help out with in the show. There's Dana Younger, who is the head of artist relations and PR. There's Kevin Collins, who is our head of operations. Chris Coakley is our technical director. And then Rory Skagen creates all our promotional material and graphic identity, all the fun graphics that you see associated with Blue Genie. And he's also a vendor in the show. The bazaar started out originating from Blue Genie Art Industries, which is a nationally recognized creative firm specializing in large-scale commercial fabrication. And at the time, those 4 owners were all the principals in Blue Genie Art Industries. That's not the case anymore, but Kevin and Chris are still the owners of Blue Genie Art Industries, but Dana and Rory no longer are part of that business. So we're really 2 separate entities at this point. A lot of people kind of combine them just because it's all in the Blue Genie family. But it started out in 2001 at the Blue Genie shop, and it was just the employees showing their art and putting some things out for sale, see if anybody would buy it. And then over the years, it's continued to grow, and now we feature the work of about 200 artists every year. We've moved venues several times, and we select those artists from a pool of about 400 applicants every year. So they've spent, not me, but they have spent 2 decades almost kind of perfecting the show, and we're all really proud of what it's grown into. Whoop. Oh, okay. I didn't know where I was. Okay, so the bazaar occurs annually. It is a holiday event, and it's open daily from Black Friday to Christmas Eve. So it's usually about a month-long show, which is not as common for a lot of art shows. Our event is a bit of a hybrid between traditional art fair and a pop-up shop. The booths are not manned by the artists during the show. All the sales are handled through a central checkout station, which is manned by our own staff. And this gives the artists more time to be in the studio creating your work. You can also participate in other shows. A lot of our artists also exhibit at Cherrywood or Armadillo. So we're taking the burden of handling all of that, all the sales and everything, and keeping an eye on things, and you just need to be there creating your own work and bringing more in and restocking. We focus mostly on local Austin area artists, but we do accept artists from around the state as well as a few from other states. We also accept a variety of disciplines, artists and artisans producing paintings, prints, jewelry, soaps, candles, paper goods, just the list goes on. Our biggest category every year is jewelry. That's where we get the most applicants as well. I'm curious, just by show of hands, how many people here are like visual artists? Okay, so does anybody here make jewelry? A few, okay. A few and then a few outliers. We have a juried application process, which I'll talk about more later, but everyone must apply. So we don't guarantee that previous vendors will get in. Every year, everyone has to do an application. And we're always looking for new exhibitors to keep everything fresh. But we do have some people that have shown for many years, and we are always looking to strike that balance between some new people and our veterans who the people come to get their work too. That's why people come to the bazaar. If you're selected, we don't charge a booth fee. Instead, we take a commission on a sliding scale based on your total sales. So the more you sell, the smaller our percentage is. That's how the scale works. And because we're depending on the sales to cover the costs of our business, we really take an active interest in your work and promoting to customers. We really want you guys to sell a lot, of course, because that's how you get paid and that's how we get paid. So the bazaar has gone from the Blue Genie Art Studio over on Springdale, near where Big Medium Canopy is now. Yeah, to Marquesa Hall in Lincoln Village, which is now becoming the AFS Cinema. So now we are at our new home on Airport Boulevard. Last year was our first bazaar in the new location, and this will be our home for at least the next 5 years. And we're going to keep improving it. If you came this year, in 2017, it'll be a little bit different. And so we're always going to keep trying to improve the space. Here's an overhead look at just sort of the layout. All the blocks represent an artist's booth, and we have about 200 spaces. You can see there's booths lining all the walls, and then there's several rows through the center. We have 3 types of booth spaces. There's the 8-foot wide by 8-foot tall wall, which are all the blue blocks. Then a 4-foot wide by 8-foot wall, which are the red blocks, so there's fewer of those usually. And then the third type is what we call shelves, which is typically a shared shelving unit. Those are the yellow spots, but that also covers a few miscellaneous types of displays. So here's just some examples of what the 8x8 looks like. Like I said, it's a wall, so it's 8 feet wide by 8 feet tall. It's not a lot of floor space like you might have at a show where you are sitting in the booth all the time. So in the photo on the left, they've just built a shelving unit to take up their whole space, and that's how they've chosen to display their work. In this picture, these are some booths along the outer walls. And so this is an 8x8 space that are just next to each other, and you can see on the outer walls they can go up a little bit higher than that 8x8, where this person has just kept it to 8x8. They've gone a little bit higher. Here are some other 8x8s. There's Brandy of Pigsy Art in front of her booth, and you can see that to the left is another person's booth, and they're meeting in a corner. We call that a shared corner, and that's a very important term for us because most booths will have a shared corner. So we need you guys to be good neighbors. On the right then is another type of 8x8 booth, and we call that a corner booth. And she's got 2 4-foot walls that have been arranged in a corner. So it's still 8 feet by 8 feet total, but it's just on an angle instead of a flat wall. And I just wanted to kind of show you all the possibilities of how it might be arranged. And I think Lux Cups there did a great job of using their space. Here are some 4x8s. Typically it'll be like the ones on the left in the center where you've got an 8-foot wide wall, and then we divide it in half and one person has each side. And then here on the right is a 4x8 booth that has a shared corner with another booth. Here are some of the shelves. We have like 3 different kinds of shelving units. We have 2 that have a wall behind it, and you can see there's several vendors all sharing the same wall unit. And there's another one way in the back there, you can see. And then on this one, this vendor was given 3 shelves And then they brought in their own table just to give themselves a little more display space, which is fine. If you can, add in even more than what we've allotted, that's totally fine. Oh wait, one more kind. So these are the other kinds that kind of fall under that shelf category, but they're a little bit different. We have jewelry cases and we have t-shirt racks. The jewelry cases are for the jewelry only, and that's something that they request on their application. So if you select shelf and you're a jeweler, then you'll probably end up in a case. You might assume that the jewelry in the cases is more expensive or valuable than the jewelry in the other booths, but that's not necessarily the case. It's just the preference of the exhibitor. Okay, so now that I've given you a sense of what the show looks like, let's get into the application process. So we're using Zapplication for our online application. That's application with a Z at the beginning. There is a fee to apply. It's $35 up to the early deadline and then $45 until the end of the application period. And the application fees are not refundable. This is the information that our jury will use to evaluate you, and it's also the information that, if accepted, we'll be using to promote you. So it's really important that you make a strong impression and also that you're very clear in your descriptions about what it is that you're selling. The application isn't very long, but I would suggest that you type up your answers prior to filling it out so that you can make sure everything is very polished, and then just copy and paste it into the actual form, which is an online form. So these are the points that you'll need to prepare. First, there's the description of materials and technique, and that's basically where you just want to know what your work is and how you make it. Do you use any special techniques or materials that makes your work unique? Are your products art objects, or are they more utilitarian? So do you make bowls that are for display, or do you make them for eating soup out of? Just so we can tell what we're getting. Are they for children? Are they for adults? Do you have any interesting artistic background? You can include that. And I put, so by interesting artistic background, I don't mean something like I self-taught myself how to paint 5 years ago, and now I like to paint landscapes. I can tell that you like to paint landscapes if that's what you're showing me. But if you said something like, I spent many years in the fashion industry and I was trained as a ceramicist, and now I make hand-thrown bowls and vases that, pull on my sense of color or something like that. That's showing that you're taking where your style and inspiration is coming from, but also exactly what you're making and how you're making it. Please, in this description, use complete sentences. Please spell check and grammar check before you paste it in there. If you're using a prepared artist statement that you've written for other applications, just make sure that it's clear, again, about what your artwork or product is that you're going to be selling. Sometimes artist statements are a little bit more about inspiration or intent of what you want people to get out of your work, but then I can't tell clearly what it is that you're actually going to be putting out there in the booth. So that's something that you want to think about, and that's why you prepare beforehand. This one sentence description of your work is sort of the tagline for you that we would be using on the website. So again, think about it, make sure that it's clear and it's a complete sentence. And, don't say something like, I make dreams out of fairy dust. Unless you're selling bags of fairy dust, say that you're making paintings or you're making, pottery. So I know exactly what it is. And I'll be honest, this is as much for your benefit as for mine, because I'm the one that then has to take what you write and put it on our website. And the less that I have to edit it, the better. And the more that I will probably go to your your descriptions if I need something for a PR piece. And I think, oh, she's got a great description here. I can just slap that on an email with a picture and, you know, it's taken care of, rather than having to get inside your head and figure out what to say about your pieces. Prices. We ask that you determine some average retail prices, and this isn't meant to be confusing. We just want to know what your prices are. Do you have a variety of price points, or are you mostly high end? Are you mostly low end? There's not really a wrong answer. We just kind of want to know, what are you selling this stuff for? And we also want to then see, is it appropriately priced? Because if we're looking at the work and we're seeing, well, the price seems really high, then the juror might think, well, they're not going to sell much because their price point is way higher than anybody else. So that's something that is going to be taken into consideration. So just think about how you're pricing your work, which is probably important for every show, as Jordan was talking about earlier. Quantity, again, it's not really supposed to be a scary question, but we're just trying to get you to estimate about how much product you'll have ready to sell when the show opens. And there's not necessarily a wrong answer. It's going to depend on what you make. But, you know, we are a very high volume show. So if you say I have 10 paintings to sell for a month-long show, that's not very much. And so then that's going to be a little bit of a red flag to us, like, I don't know if this person has enough work yet that they can you know, keep up with our show. And then finally, we want you to tell us what type of booth you want. Is it the 8x8, the 4x8, a shelf? And then if you need any electrical access. And electrical is for products that need electricity to be displayed, like a lamp. We ask that you not bring in extra lighting, which requires electricity. A lot of the booths will not have any kind of access for that. So we are keeping the show very well lit. But if you are selling something that requires electricity so people can see it, you know, how it works, then we need to know, so we can make sure you're near one of those outlets. And then the last thing on the application is the photos, which are one of the most important parts. We ask for 6 photos that represent the work that you intend to sell. And so when you're selecting the photos, keep in mind that they will be used on our website. So this is what people will see when they're thinking about visiting the show, and so they are going to be looking for that same kind of work that you've put on your application at the show. Or at least it should be very similar to what you're going to be selling in the show. And please pay attention to the directions about sizing and dimensions. Like I said, this is going to be on our website, and that's really, the web is the only place that people are going to be looking at these photos. So they don't need to be very high-res print quality photos. They just need to look good on a screen. So they don't need to be really huge files. This is an example of what that would kind of look like. Here's a vendor from last year. You can see the photo at the top. It's horizontally oriented, and it'll cycle through several different photos. Then it's got the name of the artist or their company, and then that little description and a website. So it's very simple. If you can use a professional photographer, I would definitely recommend it, because they can ensure the proper lighting and composition, as well as maybe help you size the photos down to be correct for the application. If you can't get professional pictures, which I know some people can't, I would suggest just reading up on some photography tips. The application, where our application is housed, has a really great FAQ about photography for their applications, so I would definitely look at that. And then take advantage of any free or low-cost editing so that you can crop them out and your feet aren't in the bottom of the picture or something like that. I said pictures are the most important. I think they really are. I mean, I think you know that. If you're working in a visual medium, the picture is speaking a lot for itself and the quality of your work, especially for first-time exhibitors. If we've never seen your work in person, then this is your chance to show us what you're doing. And so show a variety, and again, show things that you actually plan on selling or are very like those things. And if you present yourself and your work in a professional manner, then the jury is going to take you more seriously and have confidence that your work is going to elevate our show. So that's the application. First step to becoming part of the Bazaar. So now I'm going to talk about how to succeed once you've already applied and been accepted. Take a drink. Yes, some wise words from Vanilla Ice here. I just want to hammer these points that are very important when you're part of our group. I mean, I'm asking to really stop and read emails that we send you. I know it's very tempting to skim over all those words too much. We're trying to send you a lot of information, and I'm sure that's true for any group, any show that you become a part of. There's a lot of important stuff we need to tell you, and we just have to put it all in an email and send it out. I'm sorry, that's the easiest way I can do it. Talk to 200 people. I can't call you all on the phone and walk you through it. So it's all in the email, so please read the whole thing. And then also talk to the other artists in the show. It's really helpful to get tips from veterans who've been through it. And we also have a Google group for all the accepted artists, so you can put in questions or get tips there. We also hold 2 artist orientations, so it's be a good idea to attend one of those if you can. We also provide a handbook that goes over every detail of the show with what we expect from you and important dates and that kind of thing, so you'll know, oh, this is when I'm going to get my check and this is when I have to load in and load out. It's all right there up front, and we're giving it to you in many multiple forms to make sure that we are all working together very well. That being said, if you have any questions or concerns during the show and you talk to people and you've read this and that, just ask me. I'm here to help. And if you don't know it, then there's probably something that we've missed that other people are wondering too. So why not just ask, and then we'll make sure that everybody's on the same page. As I said before, we're a very high volume show, which means you need to plan ahead so that you have enough product to meet the demand. We suggest that at the start of the show, you have enough items, whether it's art objects or a product that you make, to fill your whole booth, plus fill it 2 times more. And that's at the beginning. And then we expect that throughout that month that the show is open, you'll probably be creating new work as well. The amount is going to be different for every artist, something that you'll just have to see as you go through. Oh, did I run out immediately? Or you might end up with stuff left over. It's always better to keep things looking full. So maybe you want to focus on items that you can make really easily. So if you have a few different types of things that you make and there's one that's really easy to turn out, maybe that's what you're going to focus on keeping at the booth, and the other ones that are more time intensive, maybe this isn't the right place to have that, or maybe you just bring them in if you have them.
Does everything have to be made by the artist, handmade by the artist? Are these socks made by the artist? Or
oh yeah, those, well, so yeah, those are sock monkeys that a woman who's the mother of a woman that makes jewelry, they exhibited together, and she makes them all herself. She doesn't make the cloth. So, and it's so that the...
Also same with prints and t-shirts.
Yeah.
It's one design. So basically, is it enough to be a designer if somebody else makes your product?
Yeah, and we look at everyone individually for that. We like the handmade and we like the artist made, but obviously I don't expect someone to make their own shirts. I expect you to maybe print your own shirts, or you've designed, you know, what's on the shirts. And you'll see we have lots of different people. We have people that create clothing, and we have people that are making everything with their hands. So it's different, and we take it on an artist by artist basis. Yeah, so just be prepared to restock frequently. Our staff does daily checks, and we will let you know if you're running low. You can always just call the show and ask someone, how's my booth looking? Or send me an email and I'll take a picture and you can see for yourself. The point is that booths always look better when they're full, kind of like how these are with the monkeys tumbling out of the rack or the soaps stacked up, the candles. This sky aluminidal. Their candles were one of the most popular things in the show. People were buying them all day long, but it almost always looked like that because he would come in very frequently, usually every day, and just fill in any gaps. And he also wasn't selling his entire inventory of candles either. He had selected certain, they have like celebrities printed on them. So he selected certain ones that he was gonna sell at our show, and then he had more that he sells on the website. Otherwise, yes?
The year before, didn't he find out the hard way that didn't have as much as he thought he had?
Yes.
The second year looked a lot better because the first year he was like, oh my god, this is way more popular than I thought it was.
Right.
He got plenty and didn't have plenty.
Yeah, so that's why we say plan ahead so that you've got all your materials and inventory ready at the beginning. Otherwise, it could look like this, which is not so great. The minimalist look, maybe something that you like, but it's empty booths, just look picked over or sloppy. And I'm not trying to call out these people. Some days it's just a really busy day, and at the end of the day, this is what it looks like. But you know, if you see an empty space, even if you see like these empty spaces on the wall, you still got some other art there, but it just looks like the best stuff has been taken already, and it's kind of picked over. And no one wants to buy that one sad scarf hanging in the middle of the booth. It's just, you know, even it's a perfectly fine scarf, someone would probably buy it if there were 10 others hanging there. That's just how it works. So pricing. For our show, people are primarily looking for gifts. It's a holiday show. They're looking for affordable gifts that they can give to their friends and family. So that means that you know, a lot of people are looking kind of in that $20 range of stuff that they're going to give to their friends, or maybe up to like $100 for a significant other, a nice piece of jewelry or something for somebody's wife. That may be a more expensive item. They're typically not looking for $1,000 painting that they would give to someone because you don't know if that's going to fit in their house. So just keep that in mind. That's not to say we also sell large artworks too, you know, because people do shop for themselves, but just primarily think about it as a gift show. So have a variety of price points. You can have your large eye-catching items, which will draw people in, but then you have some smaller prints maybe that then they decide to take home with them. And again, think about your price point. Is it correct? Do some market research, look at what other people are selling similar stuff for, and decide, am I really pricing this correctly? Of course, you want to be pricing it fairly so that you're making money too. That goes into your planning ahead. Consider offering quantity discounts if that's something that you can do, like $10 each or 3 for $25. People will often be enticed to buy 1 or 2 or 3 items instead of just getting that one. And so I have an example here of like a visual artist. What does that mean? So this is Danny Phillips' booth from last year. And so you can see he has different sizes of things. And he's even reproduced, like this print here is the same here. And he's got a card, and it's probably on like a coaster down here. So he's got a few different ones. So if you saw that from across the room and said, oh, I love that drawing of the car with the presents, I'll send this Christmas card to somebody. Maybe you're not ready to buy the big one. You can also offer framed and unframed options. Just think about the different options you can provide for people. And of course, multiples of smaller things like prints and greeting cards or coasters are a popular thing that can be reproduced. And again, I don't expect you to be hand forming the coasters. It's fine if you have original artwork that you get printed on a coaster, that is fine. We kind of like to just say that one-of-a-kinds are wonderful, but they can only sell once. So just think about that when you're putting together your work. Also, the branding is really important too, because you're not there to talk about your work, so you need people to be able to figure out your story just by what's in the booth. Your booth has to speak for you. So signage can be great to let the customer know who you are and what materials you use, why your work is special. So if there's something that you're using that's really unique, go ahead and put up a little sign that explains that. Otherwise, people aren't going to know. We had a jeweler last year who made these beautiful beaded necklaces, but to look at them, they looked almost just like normal beads that you could buy at any craft store. And then she came in to restock, and we were talking, and she was saying how they were handmade in Greece by this artisan that, you know, it's a family business that's worked for these many years. And I thought, well, those are really special beads, and I don't think anybody knows that. So you should put that on the sign so that people realize why they're paying a little bit more for something that's a little bit more special. Packaging can make the item seem more special too. Like in the center photo there, we have some sort of basic earrings, stud earrings, but she's put them in a glass bottle with a little string and a tag, and it's making them so much more eye-catching and fun than if they were just stuck on a card like you would find them in Target. You know, they're handmade, glass beads, and they're in a glass bottle, and so it just is bringing more of the specialness of the material to the front. And you can imagine that it's much more fun to get that as a gift too, because now you have a little fun packaging. And then I like the branding on the photo on the left. I don't know if you can see it very well, but she's used like blue ribbons to tie her tags on, and she's also got blue accents on the signage, so it's all kind of creating this cohesive look that's very pleasing. But then when people buy her items, they're also taking that brand with them after the sale. And so whoever is receiving that gift can see, oh, it's from White Loft, and then recommend it to all their mom friends, like, oh, you should get this thing from White Loft. So think about that too. Always include business cards. There were so many people last year who had no way to communicate with them in their booth. If you have business cards, make sure that they're there in your booth, or even just write your email address on the wall. So people can take a photo and then contact you, because people will want to contact you. They may have special orders that they want to make. You may get a commission, or they may want to ask you more questions about your work. We try to help as much as we can, but we're not the artists, so we don't always know everything about your work. So give them a way to contact you, and also, you know, set out an email list, let people sign up to now become maybe a repeat customer. So booth design is really important to think about as you're planning for the show. We just provide you with basically a plain white wall, and then you have to make it special. These are two that I really like. We recommend that you cover the wall with some kind of backdrop. You can use paper, you can use a piece of plywood that you just screw into the wall. You can use fabric. You just can't paint it. We don't allow you to paint directly on the walls. You can use screws, staples, or tape, but no nails, because if you're hammering something up on this side of the wall, the person on the other side of the wall is having all their work fall down. So no nails. And remember that everything you put up, you have to take down. So if you're going crazy with that staple gun, just remember you're going to have to pull out all those staples at the end of the show too. I don't want to do it, so please. But everything that you put up in your booth is going to add or detract value from your work. So think about that. In this picture here, the booth for Black Moon, I really loved her design. She took this paper and then she painted a pattern on it, and then she added the antlers and some vintage gold fixtures, and it all creates this really opulent look that really enhances the jewelry that she's selling. That really goes with her style of jewelry. And then in the center is Beyond Her, which has a very different look, but they have a very different product that they're trying to sell. And it really fits her work. She has this window shade that she used as the backdrop, which I think is really clever. I haven't seen anyone else do that at our show. But it adds some texture. It's not just a plain wall, and it's also giving that natural feel, which reflects what she's putting into her work. You know, it's scenes of nature. She's also added some containers on the bottom where she's keeping extras So like these mugs, you can put those up at eye level, and then you have plenty of extras on the bottom in case those sell. And then, oh yeah, one last thing. Your work doesn't have to be holiday themed, but you can add a little bit of holiday to your display if you want. It's not, you know, crucial, but she's got some little Christmas trees there. It kind of makes it more festive. I mentioned the extra storage on the bottom, which is a good thing to think about when you're designing, because we will not restock for you. That's something that you have to do, but it can be easier if there's some extras. If we're walking by and someone is like, oh, I really like this display mug, but I don't see any out, then we can help, you know, find some. Oh, okay, here, she's got her storage box with her extras. Here it is. So that's something to think about incorporating into your design.
Lani,
Yes.
question about that last slide. That last person had lighting in their booth, but they sold jewelry.
Yeah, so jewelers are the one exception to our no lighting rule. So jewelers, we kind of put them all in a center area, and we do allow them to bring in some task lighting, but all the other areas won't have electrical access necessarily. So another important aspect of our booth design is respecting the corner. When you have that shared corner with another artist, we like to think of just drawing a line 45 degrees out from that corner, and you stay on your side and you stay on your side. Don't cross over and block your neighbor's display. Over on the left, you can see the plaid pigeon did a really nice visual aid on the bottom with the tape on the floor. They're sort of making that 45-degree line, and then they've both moved their shelves a little bit in from the corner so they're not crossing into each other. You can also go out from your wall forward about 2 feet, but we suggest that you do that towards the outside, towards the aisle, rather than back in the corner like they've done in that middle photo. She's got that table which sticks out further. And then finally, if you do get put in a corner booth, where there's only a few of these, but we don't want you to freak out. We want you to just go with it and utilize it. I think that this vendor, which is Rhino Clayworks, did a really great job of utilizing that corner space so that he, filled it all the way in and got as much product on display as possible. Oh, and I do just want to mention about the booth design is that we give you at least a month's notice. Probably this year it'll be more like 2 months notice of what type of booth you have. So if it's 8x8, if it's in a corner, if you have a shared corner, and who your neighbor is, and all of that information, as well as dimensions. So we can give you a lot of that detailed information in advance so that when you come on the day to load in, you have a very good plan about what you're going to do. But if you're not sure about something, you can always ask me. That's my mantra today, just ask me. So PLUs, these are very important for our show because it's how we track your sales so that they're credited to the right person. So each artist is going to be assigned a unique number, and you have to tag all your items. So you can tag them, you can make with just plain stickers, or you can make your own special labels with your name on it. It really doesn't matter as long as they are very securely fastened and they're smudge-proof ink, and they've got the PLU and the price. We don't track your inventory. We're not able to keep track of the different types of items that you sell. We can only just tell you you sold X amount of items and it was this amount in sales, this dollar amount. So you can certainly keep track of your own. I hope you are, as you're putting new stuff out. You know what you've put out, and you can keep track that way, but we can't track it for you. And don't be coy with your price tags. Make them visible so that it's easy for someone to find it, and it's easier for our cashiers to find it when we're checking everyone out. We can clearly see PLU and dollar amount, so there's no chance of misringing, and we don't have to overhandle things, turning upside down looking for that price tag. There have definitely been people who put a tag on the bottom of like a vase, And so they have pick it up and turn it over and something falls out and breaks. Like, that isn't a really great design for your price tag. So go ahead and put it, on the front so I don't have to pick it up and turn it over to look at it. Or if you have an art piece, you want to, show the piece and not the price, but I need to be able to find that price pretty easily. And then finally, with your display, if there's things that aren't for sale, that's fine. Just make sure that they're marked really clearly. You can decorate your space with any objects that you want, but people will try to buy them. Even if it's clearly not something that you've made, people will pick them up and try to buy them. Jungle Hook here has this little purse and dress to demonstrate his hooks, which is what he's selling. But then he's also put these little tags there that clearly say, like, this is a display item only, not for sale. He also did something cute where he made this sign that he didn't want people to take these items. These were just the display ones. He wanted people to grab the ones down here to buy. So he put a little sign that said, don't touch the display animals, they're wild. Pick up the packages on the counter below. And incorporating it into the whole look of the booth. But even if there's not a price, people will still try to buy it. So keep that in mind. And if there's something that you really could not live without, if it were to disappear from your booth, don't put it in your booth. Just, it sounds like common sense, but it happens. If it's a one-of-a-kind thing that you didn't want to sell, don't use it as a display item because it might accidentally get sold or something could happen to it, and then you don't have it anymore. But shoppers will try to buy anything that's out. And then promotion, finally, just help us promote the bazaar. We do a lot of advertising, and Dana goes on TV and does morning spots and tries to get people to come to the show. But you guys have your networks, and if you are telling people about the bazaar, that's some of the best advertising that we have. We have posters and postcards that you can give out to people. We'll send you little graphics if you want to make a little email that you send out to people. Just ask. We have special artist nights and happy hours, so invite your friends and family to come with you one night. Or send out an email to your mailing list and say, hey, I'll be at the bazaar Tuesday night. Come have a drink with me and you can see some of the new work that I've got. Mondays are a good day to shop if you like to give back with your holiday shopping because we have Make-A-Wish Mondays where a percentage of that day's sales are donated to Make-A-Wish. Last year we collected over $6,000 for Make-A-Wish, which is going to grant the wish of a child. So we're really honored to have this partnership. And so again, that's another reason to tell people to come out to the bazaar is help a good cause. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so please follow us and tag us, and we'll try and share things that you've posted. One thing that's really fun to share is if you've made an item that's only available at the bazaar, go ahead and take a picture of that and say, this is available only at the bazaar, this color scheme, only at Blue Genie. And then, we'll want to share that too and let people know, oh, this is the only place you can come get it. So that's the end. But if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer that now.